Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. If this is your first time here, you're welcome to Sew with Mediva. And if you're a returning subscriber or viewer, thank you for sticking to my channel. So in today's video, we're learning how to make this simple two-piece. It's a crop shirt and a straight palazzo pant, as you can see. So I made use of 1 yard of Ankara fabric for the cropped shirt and about 2¼ yards of Ankara fabric for the pants. So this video is very detailed and very beginners friendly. So if you find this video useful, give it a thumbs up, leave a comment, and also subscribe to my channel. So guys, we're going to start with the upper part of this two-piece, and I made use of 1 yard of Ankara fabric for the crop shirt. So I have folded my fabric into two already. We're cutting both the front part and the back part, and the front part is 2.5 inches bigger than the back. So like I said earlier, the front panel is 2.5 inches bigger than the back because of the buttons in front. So we're going to be marking all the measurements on the back panel. So you go ahead to fold your fabric using the widest part of your upper body, which is my bust measurement for me, divided by 4 is 10.5 inches. I added 1 inch for ease and 1 inch for seam allowance because you don't want your shirt to be too tight on your body. And the length of my shirt is 19 inches. So the first thing we want to do now is to take the shoulder to shoulder measurement. So come over to the upper part of your fabric and mark your shoulder to shoulder measurement divided by 2. For me it's 8 inches, and then from that 8 inches come down by your round armhole measurements divided by 2, which is 9 inches for me. I'll connect the 2 points together this way, and then I'll further extend the line. And then after doing that, we'll mark our neckline measurement. So the wideness of the neckline I worked with is 3 inches, and the depth of the back panel is 1.5 inches, while the depth of the front panel is 3 inches. So I'll just go ahead now to connect the points together to form the neckline. So this is the back neckline, and I'm forming the front neckline now, as you can see. So just go ahead to just mark it on the front panel directly so that it will guide me when I'm cutting out. So after doing that, this is what we have. The next thing to do is to take the shoulder slope. So I'll come over to this armhole line and come down by 1 inch and then connect. So right now, let's go ahead to take the armhole curve. So come over to this line that you marked and place your round bust measurement divided by 4. For me, it's 10.5 inches. And then come over to this armhole line and take the midpoint. So mine is 4 inches. So I'll go ahead to connect the points this way, forming a curve. And then after doing that, the next thing is to take the shoulder to the bust point, which is 11 inches for me. So go ahead to mark yours. And then the full length of this top is 19 inches, which I'll fold in 1 inch. So I'll be left with like 18 inches. So I'll just extend this bust line this way. So right now, come over to the bust line and place your round bust measurement divided by 4. So for me, it's 10.5 inches. I'll add 1.5 inches for ease and 1 inch for seam allowance, making 13 inches. So I'll go ahead to just connect it this way. So on the full length of the shirt, I'm going to place the same 13 inches I have on my bust point. But if the waistline of the person you're working with is very small, you can just take 1 inch out of that, whatever you have on your bust point, and mark it there. So after marking, go ahead to connect the points this way. So let's go ahead now to cut it out. I'll start with the back neckline and then I'll take the front neckline and then proceed to cut the remaining parts together. We'll just keep cutting this way. So after doing that, before I open up the front panel, I'm going to notch this point so that when I'm folding the button allowance, I'll know where to stop. So after notching, I'll go ahead to rip the center front opened. So that button allowance is going to overlap on each other when you finish sewing your shirt. So after opening up, I have 2 pieces of the front panel and I have 1 piece of the back panel. So let's go ahead now to join the fabrics. So the first thing we want to do is to fold in the button allowance. So remember we have 2.5 inches for that. So I'll take in half an inch first. After doing that, I will now further fold it in by 1 inch to the point I notched. So you can see that the fold is stopping on the point I notched. So just go ahead to use my pin to hold it down. So when you are done, you'll be left with 1 inch that will be overlapping on each other for both sides. I hope you guys understand. So I'll just pin it down this way and then I'll take it to my sewing machine and stitch it all the way down on that edge, all the way down. So I'll repeat the same thing for the other side. So to give that part of your fabric a bit of firm, you can iron hair stay to that part before you fold it in. So when I'm done doing that, I'll show you guys. So after I folded in the button allowance, this is what it looks like, and this is the wrong side of the fabric. I've gone ahead to iron it out. So when you button your shirt, it's going to look this way in front. So the next thing we want to do is to join the back and the front panels together. So I'm going to place them right sides facing each other this way, and then I'll merge the shoulder points together and join it together using 1/2 inch. I'll join the other side as well. And then when I'm done doing that, depending on the seam allowance you took out when you were cutting your top, just take it at the side. So I'm going to take in my 1 inch seam allowance. So I'll join the sides using 1 inch. And then when I'm also done with that, I will fold in the base of my shirts twice using 1/2 inch twice and stitch it all the way around it. So when I'm done doing that, I will show you guys. So after closing up the shoulders and closing up the sides, this is what it looks like. So the next thing we want to do is to cut out the sleeve for the shirt. So go ahead to measure what you have and the armhole area of your shirt. So for me, I have about 22 inches there. So for the sleeve, we'll be making use of a basic short sleeve, and I have my fabric here. So I'll first of all fold it this way and then further fold it into four because we'll be cutting the two sleeves together. So the full length of the sleeve I'm working with is 8 inches, but I have 10 inches here because of folding at the base. So the first thing we want to do is to take our cap's height measurement, which is 4 inches for me. So go ahead to divide your bust measurement by 12 and add 1/2 inch. So mine is 4 inches. So I'll further extend the line this way. And then on that line, I'm going to mark the round armhole measurements I measured on my shirt divided by 2. So whatever you got for yours, mark it there and add 1 inch for seam allowance. So my round arm around the place where my sleeve is going to stop is 15 inches divided by 2, 7.5 inches. I'll add 1 inch for ease and 1 inch for seam allowance, making 9.5 inches. And then I'll just connect it down to meet that 12 inches I marked earlier. And then I'll come over to this upper part and just form a curve, like an S-shaped kind of curve this way. And then this is basically all for my sleeve. I'll go ahead now to cut it out. So after cutting out and opening up, this is what it looks like. And the first thing we want to do is to make small notches at the top of the sleeve and then flip it right side facing each other and close up the sides using the 1 inch allowance that we added to it. So I'll also fold in the base twice when I'm done doing that and stitch it all the way around it. So I'll repeat the same thing for the other sleeve. I'll notch the midpoint and close it up, then I'll show you. So I've already gone ahead to attach one of the sleeves to the top, and this is what it looks like. So this is the other sleeve. So I'm going to show you guys how to attach it. So I'll flip it over to the right side, and this is what we have. I've also folded in the base twice, just like I said earlier. So right now I'll take the armhole of my shirt, and then I'll pass the sleeve, the right side of my sleeve, through it this way, making sure the right side of the sleeve and the right side of the fabric is facing each other. And then the point where I notched my sleeve, I'll merge it to the shoulder point, and then I would go ahead to stitch it all the way around. So you can use your pins to secure this first before you stitch it. So join it together using 1/2 inch allowance. So guys, after I joined the sleeve to the shirt, this is what it looks like. So the next thing we want to do now is to cut out the collar, and to do that you have to measure what you have around the neckline. So measure carefully what you have around the neckline from the back to the front, and I have about 19 inches for mine all around the neckline, as you can see. So let's go ahead to cut out the collar. So to cut out the collar, I'll be drafting on the pattern paper first, and the first thing you want to do is to mark that round neck measurement you took from your shirt and divide it by 2. So mine is 9.5 inches, and note that the pattern paper is in a fold of 2, as you can see. That's why I'm dividing the round neck measurement by 2. And then the next thing is to determine the height of your collar. So mine, I used 3 inches, so I'll mark the 3 inches and just connect it this way. So after connecting, I'm going to just go ahead and divide these 3 inches by 2. So one side is going to be for the collar stand, and the other one is going to be the collar that you see on the shirt. So I'll divide it into 2 equal parts this way, which is 1.5 inches for both sides. And then after doing that, I'll come in here now and take 1 inch and then use my ruler to slant it up to up to the collar this way, and then I'll just curve out this other side to make the collar stand. So this is basically all for the collar. I'll go ahead now to cut this out. So when cutting, you're going to cut out two pieces of this particular pattern. You cut out two pieces of it, and I'll iron gum stay to one, and then I will show you guys how to join it together. So after I use the pattern to cut on the fabric, this is what we have. So like I said, I have two pieces of it cut out, and I iron gum stay to only one side of it. So note that this is just a simple cut together collar that I'm using for this crop shirt. So right now, go ahead to place them this way, right sides facing each other. So when I was cutting, I added half an inch to all the sides for the joining allowance. So right now, I'm going to stitch it at the upper parts using half an inch, close up the sides as well. After stitching, I would notch it and then flip it over to the right side. So with that, the gum stay is going to be at the center of the collar. So when I'm done doing that, I will show you. So guys, after I stitch down the collar and flip it to the right side, this is what we have. I also folded in half an inch inside to make joining to the neckline very easy. So let's go ahead now to fix the collar to the shirt. So I'm going to just place the neckline in between the collar this way. So since we folded in half an inch on both sides, so the edge of the collar is already neat. So just go ahead to fix in your neckline into it this way. Fix it into it this way, and then go ahead to stitch it all the way down. So you can use your pins to secure it first before you stitch it down. Just make sure you fix in your neckline carefully into the collar opening. So when I'm done doing that, I'll show you guys the finished product of this shirt. So after fixing the collar, this is what it looks like. So you can see how neat it came out and how simple this collar looks. So the final thing to do now is to fix in your buttons. So you can make your buttons 2.5 inches apart from each other. Just use your normal needle and thread to stitch it down, and then make significant buttonholes on the other side of the shirt. So right now, let's move over to the pants tutorial for these two-piece sets that we are making. So we'll be starting with the front part of the pant, and I folded my fabric into two. So the wideness of the fabric to fold is your round hip measurement divided by 4. Then add your seam allowance and then add about 3 inches to it. So for mine, I have about 15.5 inches on fold. And the full length of my pants is 43 inches, and I'll be having a 2 inches band on top. So I cut out 45 inches because I'll be folding the base with the remaining 2 inches. So I've gone ahead to place the basic vertical measurements, but let me carry you guys along. So place your tape rule 2 inches above the waistline, and then from my waist to my hip line is 9 inches, as you can see, and from my waist to my crotch depth is 12.5 inches. So I just divided my round hip by 4 and I added 1 inch to it. So I have 12.5 inches there. And then my tie line is just 2 inches below my crotch depth, which is 14.5 inches. So your tie line is mostly 1.5 inches to 2 inches below your crotch depth. So on the hip line, I placed my round hip measurement divided by 4 and I added 1 inch for seam allowance, making 12.5 inches. I placed the same thing on the crotch depth and I formed a straight line. So to get your front crotch extension, measure what you have on the crotch line down to that point, and I have 12.5 inches, and then divide it by 4. So me, I have about 3.1 inches for mine. So I'll mark it there and also come up by 1 inch. So whatever you get when you divide yours, go ahead to use it as your front crotch extension. So I came up by 1 inch, and right now I'm forming a curve this way to meet that 3 inches I marked. So this is what I have. So right now I will now measure what I have from that point, still on the crotch line, down to the 3 inches. I have 15.5 inches there, as you can see. So I'll look for the midpoint of this crotch line, and it's about 7.5 inches for me, and then I would form a straight line all the way down. So this is going to help you achieve a straight leg pant, like you won't have the seam bending from one side to the other. So guys, after drawing the straight line, come over to the tie line and measure your round tie divided by 2. You know we're cutting the ties individually now, so it's divided by 2. So I have 14 inches. I'm going to share that 14 inches on both sides of the line, which means I'll mark 7 inches on both sides of the line. So go ahead to divide yours and mark whatever you have there, and then connect it to make the crotch points this way. So guys, to give this pants a tapered look on the lower part, I'm going to take the nail line measurement, which is 23 inches from the waistline, and then I'll mark it out. So make sure you place your tape rule above the waistline, depending on the height of your waistband. And then I'll mark my round knee measurements divided by 2, which is 6 inches on both sides, 12 inches. So I'll mark 6 inches on both sides, as you can see. And then I'll go ahead to just connect the points together. So while I was taking the rounding measurements, I did not make it tight. I made it loose so that it won't be too tight on my leg. I hope you guys understand. So you don't have to take it very tight. So from that point, I'll just connect it straight down to the full length of my pant. So the last thing we want to do now is to mark the round waist measurements divided by 4. So mine is 9 inches. I'll add 1 inch for that, making 10 inches, and 1 inch for seam allowance, making 11 inches. So from this line, I'm going to mark it all the way down. I'll mark my 11 inches and then I'll connect it down to meet the hip line. And this is what we have. So the place to place the darts, go ahead to just extend this straight line up to the waistline. And then I'll mark 0.5 inches on both sides of the line. I'll take 0.5 inches on both sides and then come down by 5 inches. So I'll just slant it to meet that 5 inches point this way. So let's go ahead to cut it out. So I've gone ahead to cut out the front panel. So to help the pant sit very well on the waist, I'm going to come down by 0.5 inches on the front panel alone, and then I would connect it to meet the waistline this way, just forming a slant. So this is going to help your pants sit very well on your waist when you wear it, and then I'll cut it out. So after cutting out, this is what it looks like. So let's use this front panel now to cut out the back panels. So to cut out the back panel, I have my fabric in a fold of 2 and I placed my front panel on it. So I made sure I have some extra fabric at the upper part of my pants, about 2 inches there, and I have extra fabrics on both sides of the pants because the back is always bigger than the front. So the first thing I'm going to do is to come to the waistline and come in by 2 inches, and then also extend the upper part by 2 inches. So that's 2 inches I took out. I'm going to replace it at the other side of the waist, as you can see. So I'm going to now connect it down to meet the height. The back panel is always higher than the front panel, so I came up by 2 inches, as you can see. So by the time you measure what you have now on the front waistline, it's going to be the same thing as the back waistline because we've already replaced the 2 inches we took out at the back. I hope you guys understand. So after doing that, the next thing is to determine the crotch extension for the back. So I'm going to extend what I have in front by 2.5 inches. So if you're working with a big sized person like a size 18, you can make use of 3 inches extension from your front panel crotch. So right now I'm going to just connect it this way. So after connecting, this is what we have. This is what we have after connecting. So the next thing I'm going to do is to come over to this sides. Remember that it's going to be joining in between the legs of the pants. So I'm going to take 1.5 inches all the way down, and the I'm going to use 1 inch to join, and the remaining 1 inch half an inch is going to be for like ease. And then on this side, I'm going 2 inches all the way down to the tie line and then take 1 inch to the full length. So after I draw out those extra allowances, this is what it looks like. So the back panel is always bigger than the front panel. So this is what we have. So the next thing I'm going to do is to just extend the dart line to the upper part of the back panel. I'm going to extend this, then I'll go ahead to cut it out and show you guys. So before I cut out the back, I'll be having zipper at the center back. So I'm going to come in by 2 inches there, and then I'll determine where I want my zipper to stop, which is like 10 inches from the waistline. So I'll go ahead to connect that point. So I'm going to leave this point when I'm cutting out for the zipper allowance. So let's go ahead to cut out the back panel. So after cutting out, the next thing is to join the pieces of fabrics together. So remember we have 2 pieces each for both the front and the back panels. So I'm going to measure them this way, right sides facing each other. And I'm going to close up the crotch area using half an inch all the way down. When I'm done doing that, I'll do the same thing for the back panel. I'll do the same thing for the back panel, starting from the crotch, the point where I want my zipper to stop. I'm going to stitch it all the way down to the crotch. So after I closed up the crotch area, I also went ahead to close up the sides. I just placed them right sides facing each other. I closed up the side using 1 inch, and I also closed up the crotch area of the pants, and this is what the result looks like. So I've also taken in the darts on both sides for both the front and the back panel. So the next thing we want to do is to cut out the waistband, and you're going to have to measure what you have on your round waist measurement just to be on the safe side. So after measuring mine, I have about 40 inches thereabouts on the waistline. So I'll cut a waistband that is 40 inches long and 5 inches high. So after cutting out the waistband, this is what we have. So it is 5 inches high. I ironed my gum stay on it and I took in half an inch on both sides. So by the time I fold it into two equal parts, I'm going to have a height of 2 inches left. I hope you guys understand what I did. So to fix in the band, go ahead to just open up the band this way and then insert your waistline into it. Insert it into it this way. You can use your pins to secure it before you sew it, and then just go ahead to stitch it down carefully all the way down. So just insert it this way and stitch it all the way down to the other side of the opening. So when I'm done attaching the waistband to the pants, I'm going to show you guys what it looks like. So after stitching the band, this is what it looks like. This is what the back also looks like. So the final thing to do is to insert our zipper. So I'm going to just flip my pants to the back now. Then I'll open up my zipper this way. So I'll place one side of it on it this way, and then I will stitch it all the way down into the zipper allowance this way. I'll stitch it all the way down, and then I'll flip the other side this way, and then fold in the upper part and also stitch it all the way down. So when I'm done doing that, I'll show you guys the finished product of the pants.